Blog Talk Radio.
You're tuned in and locked on to the Brandon Carmody Show, bringing you the latest news, politics, entertainment, and stories from the LGBTQ community only. And now your host, Brandon Carmody.
Good morning, angels. I am Brandon Carmody. I want to welcome our listeners in the United States and around the world. So, according to Twitter, I am a gay Christian, actor, YouTuber, piano man, LGBTQ rights advocate, the author of Empty Land, and host of the Brandon Carmody Show. I'm also the CEO and host of Gay News America. So, it's truly an honor to be with you here today. Why are we doing a show at 6 a.m. on the West Coast? I have absolutely no good answer for that. But I want to let you know that one of the things that I am most dedicated to is to improving all LGBTQ lives. It's something that I've been working on for many years. Gay News Radio and now Gay News America has been around for about 2 years. We've been on the air. So this is a new show, but kind of an extension of what we've been doing. So in case you were asking yourself right now, who is Brandon Carmody? I've done a little bit of acting work. Here's a preview.
More states have legalized murder. Story at 11.
So You Think You Can Kill is brought to you by Bleach.
So I, of course, played the reporter and newscaster Alan Lies in So You Think You Can Kill. And I'm sorry for a minor spoiler alert, but I don't think he makes it to the 11 o'clock news. Now you have to definitely go check out that video. One of the funnest, absolutely craziest, best era of my life was the web series that I got to marry the two series, X-Files and 24, into the webisodes titled 24X, in which I played Mullet Bower, Special Agent Mullet Bower. So we had all these crazy taglines like Mullet and Scolder are back. And in that timeline, in that reality, Mullet and Scolder are taken off of the sex files at the FBI and transferred over to STD Los Angeles, a.k.a. Strategic Terror Defense, in order to fight the imminent alien invasion against terrorists, which are Chinese who just happen to also be aliens. Here is a preview for when we get pulled into our boss Scannerman's office for our first time that we're in trouble and we're about to get transferred.
Anything that you would like to add? For the record, Agent Mullet?
I've seen it.
I'm sure you have, Purple Koosh.
I know the day it happens.
Jesus, here we go.
Sir, I would recommend just calling security right now.
Dreams, Agent Mullet. Spooky visions. It's all in your head. It isn't real.
On August 10th, 1997, it's going to feel pretty freaking real to you too, Scanner Man. Anyone not wearing 10 million alien repellent is going to have a really bad freaking day. Do you get it? I've seen it. I know what happens. You're the one living in a freaking fantasy land, Scanner Man.
Agent Mullet, it's already 2008. Jeez, man, come on. Not only are your theories outrageous, they're out of date. Expired, man.
Now, I have to admit, that is a personal favorite. That whole exchange between Mullet and Scolder and Scannerman in the office, that's from 24 Exodus, which is officially the first episode in the series. And if you remember Spooky Mulder, what was his number one, paranoia? Was it this invasion? These aliens were coming to take over. So Scannerman ends up playing right into our hands, and things get a little bit kooky and out of control in this second clip.
Put a bullet in my head.
Sir, are you okay?
Kill me.
My pleasure.
Sir, are you sure you're okay?
That's right. This is it. Come on, you bastard. Show yourself. Come on. Come on.
Well, here's what I recommend you do. For those of you that are on YouTube, please, I would be honored and privileged if you would go right now to youtube.com/Brandon Carmody. Please subscribe And in the playlist, you can watch 24X, the complete series. I have lined it up to where you can just go right down the line and check them all out. But I want you to know that I can be serious. You know, I don't know if you realize this, but I was in Purge. No, not the famous one, not The Purge. I was in Purge. So in the short film Purge, this group gets together and they're basically meeting with this special moderator who has special abilities to reach through to the other side, Elias, and they've all lost someone. And so this is really a sensitive moment. This is Brandon being a emotional actor. Let's just check out a clip here from Purge.
Xander?
Yes?
You know who this is. How have you been?
I'm alright, Grammy. I miss you.
I'm here now, but I don't have much time. If you want to say or ask anything, do it now.
Why did you have to go? I mean, I knew that you were going to die. I was there when you passed. I just miss you.
I miss you too, honey. Please know that I'm fine. I love you.
I love you too, Grammy. I'll see you soon.
Wow. So that was really an intense scene to shoot for me because you know, I was able to, you know, when you're in the moment and when you're being asked to play a character that's going to be communicating with the dead, you know, you have to draw on certain emotions and you have to draw on certain places from your experience. And so I was able to draw on some very recent losses at that point. This was filmed back in 2013, and I was able to connect with those emotions to take me to where I needed to go for the scene. So that was a really intense moment for me. But I have one more scene from Purge. So this is a completely different moment. This is a young daughter that has been desperately trying to communicate with her father, and she's traveled all around the country to go to all these different groups. And essentially, in this scene, she is finally able to break through and connect with her father, and I play the father. So let me play one more clip from from Purge. This is a scene that I did in 2013. This is my second appearance in Purge.
Roddy, I really need you to be there. I've been looking everywhere trying to find you. Do you not want to talk to me? Daddy.
Baby doll? Is that you?
Daddy. Oh my God, Daddy.
Hi, honey. I'm so sorry it was so hard to find me. This isn't exactly a phone call.
Are you okay? I have so many questions and so many things I just want to say.
Now that we made initial contact, it'll be much easier for you to find me again. Just know that I miss you and your sister so much and can't wait to hold you again.
We'll get to hug again.
You didn't think we'd be able to hug again, did you?
I didn't know.
Well, now you do. And I'd like to see you and your sister again real soon. That would make me very happy.
That would make me happy too. Daddy, I want you to know that I've stayed strong. For the whole family.
I knew you would, sweetie. Now we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay. Bye, Daddy. See you next time.
So once again, I'm back now. That was a second scene from Purge, a short film that I did in 2013. So folks, one of the things that we're going to do here over the next days, weeks, and years that we spend together is I'm going to be giving you little previews, a little window into my life and the work that I've done. One of the things that I'm working on right now is becoming a YouTuber. And we're going to bring on our first official guest. We have Roddy Biggs coming on the air with us this morning. Roddy Biggs could be described as a new YouTuber. He's also an HRC Youth Ambassador involved in GLSEN, and he is an LGBTQ rights advocate. Roddy Biggs, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brandon. Always great to be on.
Thank you, Roddy. So let's do a little catch-up with you. You have had an official event now for HRC. You went to a gala event. Why don't you tell our listeners about that?
So Saturday night, I went down to Nashville for the Tennessee State Gala event for HRC, and it was phenomenal. There were 700 people in the room. Chad Griffin spoke, Leanne Rimes performed, but probably the most amazing thing that happened is I was sitting at my table, looked over my shoulder, and at the table in front of me was Jim Obergefell. So during one of the breaks, I got up and went and thanked him for everything that he's done for our community, gave him a hug, and got a picture. So that was just absolutely amazing to have that opportunity.
Jim Obergefell, of course, has been a regular guest on our show, and for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, we're sorry if you haven't caught up with recent events in history, but Jim Obergefell was the lead plaintiff in the Supreme Court case of Obergefell v. Hodges that is ultimately responsible for same-sex marriage in this great nation. That case was decided in June 2015. Roddy, did you get to talk with Jim at all?
We did. We talked for about a minute. And so we just really talked about what he had done, what he did meant for our community. I thanked him, and then after I posted the picture, he commented on the picture and said, "Great meeting you," and that we're staying in touch. So, I mean, it was a very quick conversation because, as you can imagine, there were people just in sofas to say hi to him.
I can imagine. No, I saw the picture. Nice tuxedo, by the way. So is it, I hope you're not breaking any rules by answering this question, but is there a dress code if you're going as an HRC youth ambassador? Is the tuxedo a requirement?
It depends on the event itself. So for any of the gala events, yes. For workshops, conferences, or seminars that are not gala events, it's business casual to what makes you the most comfortable. So not like giant holes in your pants, but if you go in a pair of nice jeans and a T-shirt and that's what you feel comfortable in, or if you go in a button-up and a pair of khakis, then that's okay for the everyday event. But if it is a gala, then yes, that's suit and tie.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. That was a great tux. So I actually have a clip that we're going to play really quick from your organization, Roddy. This is Sarah Warbelow from Human Rights Campaign, who testified in regard to the Supreme Court nomination of Neil Gorsuch. I just have a brief clip here from Sarah Warbelow, and then I'd like to get your reaction to that. Here we go with Sarah Warbelow.
On behalf of the Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest civil rights advocacy organization for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, I'm honored to be here before you today, representing our nearly 2 million members and supporters nationwide. Unfortunately, I'm disappointed that the topic for discussion is President Trump's nominee to the Supreme Court, Mr. Neil Gorsuch. LGBTQ people are no strangers to the Supreme Court. We understand the power of the court to affirm or deny our most basic rights. Jim Obergefell and his partner John Arthur had to be medevaced to a tarmac in Maryland in order to marry before John died from ALS because their home state of Ohio refused to allow them a marriage license. Their heartbreak didn't end on that Maryland tarmac. The state of Ohio attempted to erase their marriage by refusing to place Jim's name as a surviving spouse on John's death certificate. By a narrow 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court validated Jim and John's relationship and extended marriage equality nationwide. By his own words, Judge Gorsuch admitted he would have forced same-sex couples to pay the price of inequality for decades to come. This is why Judge Gorsuch cannot be given a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court.
Okay, and we're back live now. So there you heard it, Roddy. That was Sarah Warbelow speaking on behalf of Human Rights Campaign, opposing the nomination of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. How do you feel about that?
I have to agree with that. Someone who is going to stand out and testify so violently against our community certainly does not deserve a place on the Supreme Court. and should not be on the Supreme Court in any way. Jim's an amazing man, and anyone who is going to deny him or anyone like him in our community the freedom to marry, which is, as we know, under the Constitution now that we have the right to marry. Anyone who still believes we don't doesn't need to be on the court. So, like I said, I have to agree with Sarah.
Okay, cool. Totally understood. So another, I'm looking at the Twitter page for Human Rights Campaign right now. Obviously, the repeal and replace effort to repeal and replace Obamacare failed on Friday. The House Republicans, under the leadership of President Trump, basically pulled their Trump Care bill, and didn't even cast it for votes because they didn't have the votes. And it now seems as if they're basically saying that Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act is going to stay. On the Twitter page for Human Rights Campaign, it literally says a victory for LGBTQ people and millions more who will continue to receive the care they need under the Affordable Care Act. Do you agree with that repealing and replacing Obamacare would have been detrimental to the LGBTQ community?
Absolutely, because you look at it and so many healthcare providers before the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act, did not have any ramifications of protecting LGBTQ people or giving them the health insurance they need. There were no legal guidelines saying that if two people are married and they happen to be of the same sex, that you have to insure them. But thanks to the ACA, there are. And so someone cannot discriminate because you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or whatever else. So the ACA definitely was a saving grace for LGBTQ people. And thanks to the ruling that it got overturned, or did not get overturned, is definitely an amazing thing. And while the ACA does need some work, a total repeal is not what it needed. So I'm very glad to see that it didn't.
Understood. Now, turning to social media for a moment, Roddy. So you started up a YouTube channel, and I know that we had both done little surveys on social media to see who was into it. I have to admit your survey did a lot better than mine, but I already had a YouTube, so I think it was perfectly fine. But so your page says model, actor, LGBTQ activist. You describe yourself as a host for Gay News America, East Tennessee chapter leader for GLSEN, and a youth ambassador for HRC. And so now as a new YouTuber, how is your experience going for you so far? How do you feel about it?
Wonderful. So far I've done an intro video, posted a video from a rally that I was at, and posted my coming out video. I'm up to close to 30 followers and have gotten nothing but great feedback and comments from people both on YouTube and on my Twitter. So just beginning, but overall the experience has been great so far.
That's perfect. So do you have any names that you would be comfortable dropping, as far as LGBTQ YouTubers that you've seen that might have inspired you? I'll name drop a couple, like Raymond Braun, Tyler Oakley, are a couple that I've seen that are really inspiring.
Yeah, so Raymond, Tyler Oakley, Chandler Wilson, and the list go on and on and on, but pretty much every LGBTQ YouTuber that I've seen inspired me in some way or fashion to do it, and I've been thinking about it for years, but never actually did it. And after the appointmentship with the Human Rights Campaign to be a youth ambassador, I decided why not. So here we are.
Oh, perfect. Was there any fear, by the way? I totally realize that there is a lot to consider about putting yourself out there, not just your name and whatnot, but you're literally on camera. You're pretty exposed considering how many millions of people could potentially watch a video. Was there some fear about getting into it, or?
To be honest, not really, because as people know who have tuned into the show before, I've gone through so much and I've been called so many things. I have had death threats put on me in the past. So it's just, I mean, I can't say that I'm not afraid that something's going to happen, but I'm not going to let that fear stop me from doing what I want to do. And if that's make a YouTube channel and put my voice out there, or to be an advocate on social media and go as far as, like, people know where I live, people know what city I live in. Like, yeah, if something is going to happen to me, I'd much rather it happen to me at the front lines at a rally or someone just attack because they don't like what I'm saying than to hide and not say it. Because someone's got to say it, and there are people who are not in a position to where they can. And so I hope to be the voice of the people who don't have their voice yet.
Yes. Well, and certainly we hope nothing, negative would ever happen. I mean, there are ways to have civil debate with people that are on opposite sides of, the LGBTQ issues, opposite sides of the political spectrum. There's ways that we can have discussion and debate, without it being uncivil. I think if we just, not to get too political, but if we look at the last election, many people on both sides were basically telling us on all of our broadcasts that they felt like they weren't being heard, and that's really what the last election showed America, is how many people in this country weren't being heard, and that's why it went a different direction. So I think it's very important that we pay attention to all sides and try to find a unifying way to come together in the ways that we can.
Absolutely. So I always just have to think back to the Founding Fathers and what they said, that all people were entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that we were all meant to live in this nation where we would be free and equal. And looking, whether it's a Trump presidency or an Obama presidency, looking at it, under neither one were all people truly equal. And so while we did make some great progress under Obama, and it doesn't look like we're going to make a ton of progress under Trump, we still have a long way to go to say that all people living in this land are truly equal. And that's what I'm going to continue to fight for, to make sure it happens in my lifetime.
Yes. And I have a GLSEN question for you, Roddy, because you're also involved with GLSEN. So this is a brand new tweet from GLSEN from this morning. As a transgender student, I am mad, I am upset, and I'm invalidated. Charlie Zielinski, 18, speaks out, and it's basically saying that the student is writing about coming out as a transgender in the 8th grade and what a loss of the federal protections means. Obviously, we're talking about the guidance that the Trump administration gave to schools last month, removing the Obama protections for transgenders to use the bathroom of their identified gender, the gender they identify with, and then leaving that up to, individual schools, individual states. Are you hearing feedback from people about this issue, either from your constituents in HRC or GLSEN or people that are private messaging you? Are they concerned about this change in policy regarding transgender bathroom use?
Well, first thing that I'd like to make clear is that it's not actually a change in policy. So Title IX is still there. Title IX still protects people on the basis of gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. But what the Trump administration did was the Obama administration had put in guidelines on how to interpret and how to read Title IX to make it easier for the public to understand what it's saying. Okay. And so that's what the Trump administration removed. So a lot of people are confused because they feel like Title IX has been changed, when in reality it's just back to the unrealistic writing style that makes it hard to interpret. But yes, that does leave the loophole open for school districts to say, well, we don't think this is what it's saying. And so that's what we're seeing right now, is school districts and elected officials saying, this is how we're reading this and this is how we're interpreting this. And so we aren't going to give people the protections they deserve. So, yeah, I am hearing a lot of people voice their complaints, concerns, very few even in support of. But at the end of the day, which is what I always continue to tell people, at the end of the day, trans people and every person just wants to be able to pee in peace. And if you know that you're with someone in the bathroom who's transgender, you're probably doing something wrong, because I've never noticed what genitalia someone had in the bathroom, because at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to pee, and I'm going to walk out and continue on my day. Like, it's not that big of an issue to me, but I know that I'm a crazy liberal, so who knows?
Well, on that note, like you said, you had met Chad Griffin from Human Rights Campaign at the gala on Saturday. This is a brand new tweet, fresh off the press from Chad Griffin from this morning, Roddy. Here's what Chad Griffin writes. Jaw-dropping AP report. HB2 to cost North Carolina $3.76 billion, and then he puts hashtag North Carolina General Assembly must act to fully repeal this hateful law. So there you go. The AP is putting out a report saying that the bathroom bill is going to cost North Carolina about $3.76 billion. That's a staggering impact in North Carolina as a result of this hate legislation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the even scarier part is that they warned Pat McCoy that this was going to happen, and he totally blew them off, said, no, this won't happen in my state. And as we know, he was sent packing from the governor's mansion. So it does have a huge impact on any state, and hate never pays off. It may look like it in the short term, but as you just said, $3.76 billion in a year, that's a lot.
Yeah, that may be cumulative overall of the impact. I'm not sure. I'd have to dig deeper in to see whether that's just in a year. But there's just been so many events, so many sporting events and other businesses and organizations that have pulled out of North Carolina. Just absolutely mind-blowing. So what are your next events that you have as an official representative for either HRC or GLSEN? What's coming up next, Roddy?
So tonight there was a gathering in Knoxville and another one in Nashville and others across the state and the nation that were going to be events that GLSEN was hosting in the support of Gavin Graham's court case that was supposed to be held tomorrow. But since the administration decided not to hear that case, GLSEN decided to continue forward with doing the rally, but to reshape it in support of Gavin Graham and all other LGBTQ youth, and especially trans youth, to know that their voice is still being heard and still matters in society. So that rally's tonight, and so I'll be at it, and we're going to have some amazing speakers and a performer, and we're just going to be loud and proud out in the middle of downtown Knoxville. So, like I said, that's tonight. And then after that, I'll be gearing up to go to D.C. at the end of April with HRC for the Time to Thrive conference, and we'll be doing that. And then pretty much as soon as I get back from that, will be Youth Pride Fest, and then the Eastern Sea Diversity Prom. So I'm going to stay busy.
This sounds like it. Absolutely. Thank you, Roddy. All right. Roddy Biggs, I want you to stand by right there. We're going to bring in another guest. We're going to welcome to the Brandon Carmody Show, Scott Fullerton, the host of the Left of Straight podcast. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Tired.
Good. How are you?
I hear you. I don't know how you're doing this before coffee in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. This is amazing. Hey, Roddy.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good. I'm so impressed with all your great work you've been doing. Nice to talk
Thank
to you guys
you.
again. It's been a bit. Brandon, congratulations on the first episode.
Yes, thank you for dropping by. So why don't we take a moment? Will you tell our listeners and give us all a refresher, what is the Left of Straight podcast and what's your mission? And for gosh sakes, how long have you been doing it?
Well, Left of Straight shows have been on almost 2 years now. We'll have our 2-year anniversary in June, so it's getting pretty close. And it's really a project that I started when my dad was sick. I moved home to take care of my dad, and I was looking for something to pass my time and wanted to keep up with my LGBT activism, but also kind of follow my passions. I love entertainment, I love food, I love foodies, and I love books and reading. So I decided to start a podcast. I was listening to a lot of podcasts at the time and thought I would start one up and kind of put it towards an LGBT bent. So I started the Left of Straight podcast that talks about entertainment, foodies, and books for our LGBT community and our straight allies. And I interview celebrities or people of just interest in those areas from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. But it's been a fun ride.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's not be modest. You won an award. Tell them about your award.
I didn't win, but I was nominated. I was very proud. I was nominated for
nominated.
Top LGBT Podcast. Yes, nominated for the Top LGBT Podcast of 2016. So that's always an honor. And the person that won was a transgender podcaster that won. So I was in great company, and there was a lot of great podcasts from all over the country there. So it was just, as they say in Hollywood, it's an honor just to be nominated.
That is. So, and I appreciate, how long you put in. You're a great example for us, Scott. So what Roddy and I and the team at Gay News America have endeavored to do this entire time that we've been trying it out is to keep these voices alive, keep them on the air. As you may recall, there was a time where you and I were all guests on Rob Watson's show out in Santa Cruz because we were talking about how the Out Q had been taken off the air. And I think when we did that broadcast, we all agreed that kind of between us was the little handful of podcasts, but they're really, unless I'm mistaken, I really don't see much more national radio representation since that show. Has that changed, or is it still just us?
Well, yeah, as far as podcasting goes, there's not that's been pretty totally bent on the queer focus. I mean, there's been some great podcasts that come on. You and Roddy were talking earlier about politics, and there was some great people out LGBT people from politics that have started some political podcasts, which I think is so important right now as we try to kind of take a footing and bring the country in a direction we're looking to. As you guys said earlier, we were starting on a lot of progress before, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So I have listened to a lot of new political podcasts that are done by some great out and proud LGBT individuals. But as far as what we kind of do as news and entertainment in general, there hasn't been a huge upswing that I've seen since then.
Exactly. And Roddy, do you agree with that as far as if you were to flip the dial on a national radio station or try to find it on TV, there's just a small selection there, isn't there, mainly on TV?
Absolutely. So TV is the worst about it, but radio's not much better. It's like we're getting to the point where it's more okay to be gay, but let's not talk about it. So hopefully with the work we're doing, people are going to realize, you know what, they can talk about it on their platform, so why can't we talk about it on the radio, or why can't we talk about it in a TV show and not have this fear that we're going to lose ratings? Because at the end of the day, I'd much rather lose ratings and be talking about things that people are afraid to talk about, knowing that you're reaching the people who you want to be reaching, than trying to please everyone.
I have a question for you, Scott, and this is kind of on the entertainment realm. You probably are more up to speed on entertainment, but according to World of Wonder, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 9 is number 1 on the iTunes charts as a TV show and dance album. So there is some pro-positive LGBTQ entertainment right there with RuPaul Drag Race.
It really is, and it started out with a little bit of controversy involved as well, because from the bar owners aspect, because this was circled around, this show has got so popular. Of course, RuPaul won an Emmy Award last year for Best Hostess, right? And so it's got so popular, they moved it from Logo to VH1 this year, and they brought it from 10 o'clock down to 8 o'clock. And the bars were actually a little worried that it was going to hurt business because nobody goes to our LGBT bars at 8 o'clock in the evening anymore.
I see.
So it was really a concern in the beginning what would happen, but the viewing parties are as big as ever. Of course, VH1 brings it such a wider viewing audience than it ever had before on Logo, because almost every cable channel has VH1, and Logo was in a lot of very restricted markets around the country. So it's really brought it a huge following now. The small bit of controversy that it had when it started has gone away after the first episode because the viewing parties were amazing. And as you said, it did get #1 on iTunes. So you can't ask for much more than that.
Did any of you catch the fact that Laverne Cox's legal drama was discreetly canceled after only 2 episodes?
Yeah.
I was disappointed in that. It seems to be the Katherine Heigl curse. She has not had a really good episode since she left Grey's Anatomy. She's had a little bit of controversy, being a little difficult to work with, but she has not had anything last more than about 3 to 4 episodes since she got out. It's been sad, actually. I actually kind of like her acting.
Roddy, is it always possible too that as talented as Laverne Cox is, that it's just like Scott is saying, that perhaps it is all about the show and the content and maybe not the best use of Laverne Cox's talents as well?
Oh, absolutely. Laverne Cox is amazingly talented and can pretty much do anything she wants. So that could definitely be a possibility. But at the same time, you have to wonder if Laverne Cox wasn't trans, or if it was another actor or actress in another show with the same topic, would it be the same issue? And is it just because she's amazingly talented, which is what I like to think, or is it because she is who she is and she's not afraid to speak what she's saying? Not sure. But either way,
my problem is that I'm from the TV and film world, you guys, and I understand, when the suits meet and they're like, what are the demographics? What are the numbers show? What are the numbers show? And so, unfortunately, the show had a weak debut, and as far as the Nielsen ratings, and then the next week the numbers were even lower, and so it just got to the point where they pulled it based on sheer numbers because it didn't pick up. It didn't pick up viewership. So they moved it into that kind of uncertain zone. Remember, there's 11 more episodes filmed of that series, and Laverne Cox and some of the other creators said that there was going to be a transgender love storyline in those final 11 episodes. So we might actually see them air at some point, but I guarantee there'll be no renewal. You'll never see a second season of that show, regrettably. You agree with that, Scott?
Yeah, like I said, when that happens, when you get those 11 episodes, they sometimes bury them in the summer in a slow release where we may get to see them. But it's what you said. It's all about the numbers. I don't think it had really anything to do with Laverne's character. I applaud the show for being very open and honest. She did talk about being transgender. It wasn't a hidden thing from anybody. So I love that was part of the show. I don't think that was the reason it was canceled. It had to do with numbers, and it could have been a whole bunch of different reasons that we don't know about. But I just applaud the show for having that storyline, and hopefully those will see the light of day sometime in a slow news cycle. That's what usually will do. They'll save them for a time when they have to do repeats or going counter program against sporting events or something like that.
Definitely. I wanted to real quick just ask you about some LGBTQ issues, Scott. So we were talking with Roddy Biggs about the different issues that Human Rights Campaign and GLSEN are specifically addressing with the community right now. Are you pretty much in agreement that we're basically trying to reinforce some of the rights and protections that we acquired under the Obama administration and try to work together collectively to keep from turning the clock back to like the I Love Lucy 1950s? Like, what's your kind of take on where we are right now, kind of geopolitically?
Well, I think you guys are exactly right. I was listening to your conversation. I think I agree where we're in a flux state right now, where we really don't know what's going to happen, and that the uneasiness of it makes it really tough. And so a lot of these organizations have to plan for the worst. Before, we were kind of on a little uphill swing, not uphill as far as bad, but we were on an uptick as far as rights were coming towards us a little better. We seemed to get some equality through. We had administration that seemed like they had our backs under most circumstances. We can't feel that right now. We have an administration that has gone back on its word as far as the transgender protections. I think they campaigned on one thing and another thing happened when he did the executive order. So we're at a very uncertain time of flex. So all these organizations, GLSEN and GLAAD and HRC and all of these people that have worked so hard for individual rights in so many different parts of our rainbow community, are really understandably worried and trying to find a way to save those protections. And it all, unfortunately, especially this administration, comes down to money. What kind of money can they raise so they can lobby to get their voices heard? In Washington, the thing that speaks loudest is the money behind it. Until you see things like this Women's March that happened after it, we need to have these organic countermeasures keep popping up. We can't have a one-off and have them be great for a little time, then just not think about it. I think what's really going to happen is these organizations have to raise money, and we're going to have to get out there. Those that don't have money have to use their fingers and dial their congressmen and use their feet and walk in solidarity. Of course, at Los Angeles Pride, one of the biggest prides in the country, they're turning their parade from a festival parade this year into a protest parade this year. They're not doing the regular floats and everything. And that's going to be on June 11th, and it's going to be part of a national movement. Washington, D.C. will also be June 11th, and that is going to try to be a solidarity LGBT protest movement on Sunday, June 11th this year. And L.A., like I said, a little controversy there as well, because it's such a festive – it's been festive for so long, but they feel this year they need to turn the parade into a protest parade.
Well, thanks for the heads up on that. Maybe if they do the same in Portland. Roddy and I are recently YouTubers, and we have the whole live stream. So if they do it in Portland, I'll certainly go out there and shoot it. And Roddy, if they do that in Knoxville, hopefully you can drop by and get a couple live shots. That would be incredible. Scott, I want to give you a chance to plug Left of Straight and what's going on next. Who do you have coming up as featured guests?
Well, Left of Straight show this week. I have today one of my favorite guests who you've had on your show before, Josh Sabara. He's a entertainment wonderkind out of L.A. He's been such a great producer of so many things and a marketing and PR guru for companies like Disney and Lifetime Network and Hallmark Channel and so many things. So he's going to come on today and talk about, he has a new book. His last book, Porn Again, was a kind of a self-autobiography on his early life, coming out to himself and how it was in the entertainment industry. And he has a new book, which is actually not a memoir this time. It's going to be more of a novel. So we're going to be talking about that. And tomorrow we have Susan Surftone, who is a great counterculture musician. She's going to be on the show. So that's going to be a lot of fun with her. And then I'm going to L.A. for a week next week. So I'm going to be doing live shows in L.A. For a week and a half. And I'm going to have a big star-studded celebrity fest on Sunday, April 9th at the famous Mickey's in West Hollywood Club, where all of my guests, because, of course, you know how we are in me in Northeast Ohio and you in Portland, Oregon, we don't have access to too many up fronts with the celebrities are the people we talk to. So I'm going to invite all the people from LA that I've had on my show. I have about 40 people coming. We have gift bags and food and drinks, and it's going to be a Lollapalooza, so it'll be fun.
All right, that's terrific. Scott, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, please check out Left is Straight. And Roddy Biggs, once again, thank you for coming on as well. All right, gentlemen, have a good morning.
Congratulations on Blog Talk Radio. Have a great season. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, once again, you're listening to the Brandon Carmody Show. This is the first episode, and we are going to be bringing in our next special guest here. It's a surprise, so bear with one moment. Going to call him right now, see if we can get him on the line.
Guten Tag. You have reached the voicemail of Jay Eaton. If you'd like to leave a message, please go ahead and do so. But remember...
Oh, no. No, Clarice. Oh, no. This will not do. Okay. We will try once again to get Mr. Special Agent J on the line. All right. Oh, wait. Okay. Hello, Special Agent J? Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, Clarice.
How goes it?
Well, this is the pilot episode of my show, and it's in the last 15 minutes, so I'd say it's going pretty good. For the benefit of our listeners, I want to welcome you to the show. For folks who have absolutely no idea who we are, I will just let them know that we're the filmmakers responsible for the YouTube hit Emptyland.
Whoops.
Oh, no. It seems to be catching on. One disclaimer, I do want to make sure that the Internet understands. It was filmed using equipment from a cable access television station. We made it for the benefit of cable access listeners in a pre-YouTube generation. But I'd like to ask you about your character, German concert pianist Christian Jaworski. Will you enlighten our listeners as to your role and tell us about Christian?
Absolutely. Christian is a very tormented and very conflicted individual who is torn not only through past, present, and future, but through reality itself. And, trying to locate this particular individual in a certain place and time was very difficult to place this person along a specific timeline, not entirely clear exactly where he is or when he is. So, trying to develop that character was it was a trick, a very difficult trick, and I wish I had more time to flesh him out a bit more.
Well, is it a fair statement to say that the screenplay that we wrote was much more ambitious than mere cable access video cameras and microphones would allow? I mean, we truly wrote it as if we had sort of a Hollywood-type budget, maybe even $1 million or a few $100,000. We kind of wrote it like the sky's the limit.
Yeah, we did kind of, we had a very ambitious outlook on that. And we kind of like, okay, well, let's shoot first, ask questions later was basically our approach to the whole thing. Jurassic Park came out in 1991, so we thought, okay, well, we can manage all sorts of fun stuff, not realizing exactly how complicated those shots would actually be in the final cut. So a lot had to be excised and trimmed down, and we just kind of had to say goodbye to certain things. I will say there's a whole sequence involving a certain part of the female genitalia that we had to cut, but would have been hilarious had we been able to include it.
I think there's a lot of really good material that got cut. I mean, there's some very sensitive scenes with both Christian and Anna's, which, you know, you kind of have to see it to understand, but the color and the black and white, the two different realities, the stuff that we filmed there at the very end. Also, the roulette bit with Christian, the whole game show sequence. I mean, that was a big one to cut. That would have been a huge hit.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun to shoot as well because we had all those extras there, and they had no idea what was going on. I mean, they were just kind of stuck in this building, and here you are running around with this camera with your finger in your mouth, like trying to figure out, okay, now which angle do I need now? Where do I put the camera? And, you know, I'm standing up there like, okay, what are we doing? It was chaos, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I got the raw footage into the edit room, the second camera, like the camera B, actually had a shot of me trying to motivate the extras, and it literally had me like, eat, and it looked like I was just going freaking crazy. But if you check the footage, the raw footage, those extras really got into it, man. It was like one of those basement scenes in Fight Club. Like they really got passionately into that eat, which ultimately meant Christian's demise.
Right.
I don't think folks realize how elaborate that was. I mean, my favorite story, by the way, we went into this Asian nail salon because, the folks, if you're listening at home, you got to check us out. But Special Agent Jay has basically thin, you know, perfectly cut German eyebrows, and I basically am like Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. And so we go into the salon, we have them compare the two, and we say, can you make mine like his? And I think maybe the receptionist or something turned us away, like, oh, no, sorry, we can't help you with that. And so, you know, Jay and I are walking down the sidewalk of this strip mall, and we're literally just carrying on like two Sex and the City girls. Like, we're not paying attention to anything in the world. We're just talking. And this lady follows us out of the nail salon, and she's literally like, sir. And, like, I don't know if you heard it or I heard it, but we got, like, halfway down that strip mall. Like, she chased us down a long way. Do you remember? And then she finally came up, said she was there to take a look, and then she took a close look at my eyebrows, and she was like, oh, no. No, I can't do it. Do you remember that?
I do vaguely recall this incident, yes.
That was my favorite bit because for a moment there I got my hopes up when this lady was chasing us down, but she's like, but that doesn't give me much hope for my future eyebrows when she's basically like, oh, no, that would take a miracle.
Lost cause, yeah, forget it. Yeah, don't even bother.
But one thing I want to say as far as creativity, though, I mean, I just had so much fun making that film. I had always wanted to do a feature film. I mean, I'd already been doing cable access work, you know, little short films and TV shows and skits for 10 years at that point. So Empty Land really gave me a chance to really kind of paint the brush, so to speak, to actually get into practice and really experiment. So if anything else, it was a fledgling filmmaker's first time out. How was it for you?
Right. Well, likewise, you know, I've always kind of fancied myself a filmmaker myself, and being in front of and behind the camera was, you know, an interesting, what do they call that? Double task, I suppose. Being there on both sides of the recording device, and it was a huge time commitment because, gosh, it took us well over a year to actually get anything resembling a project in the can from beginning to end, and it took a lot of time. It took a lot of effort, and for people to be there and, you know, give it their all. And we had some really good actors. We had some really good talent. That was
we were really fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, and they weren't getting paid, but you know they were still a part of it, and they were, you know, happy to be there for the most part, and I really liked that. that getting together.
Well,
project.
I have a clip, by the way, so we can let the world know. So Special Agent J's real music was incorporated into the film. The first clip I'm going to play here, oh yeah, this is after Anna comes to Christian Jaworski's concert. She's met with the sort of gay boys to run his CD table and cut some deal with them to get his agent to introduce them backstage. So here is the live concert as performed for real by Special Agent J as Christian Jaworski. Wow, you made that look so easy, by the way.
That takes me back.
Now, just a little fun fact for the listeners. One of the songs, at least the introduction song, I had to learn at least fake it till I break it. You know, I had to dance off for my life, man. So I had to learn at least one of the songs that Christian plays, and that was fun. But not those numbers. I mean, those numbers. I truly believe that you were the only man on this earth that can play those songs. It's pretty advanced stuff.
Yeah, they are pretty raucous, noisy pieces. I guess I was going through a bit of a spell in my life where I just kind of saying, screw you, making a whole bunch of
So I think just so we can kind of clue the listeners in, the film really is not a queer film per se, but it does have these bisexual overtones. So not to give you too much of a spoiler alert, it's been like 14 years since we made this film, but basically so an ex-best friend from Christian's life, John, sends Anna to Christian, you know, bearing this necklace with a love message. And so it basically is kind of playing into these bisexual undertones of this girl trying to help reunite these two kind of ex-friends / ex-lovers. So here's a very innocent exchange that happens over a cigarette between Christian and Anna once he takes her home, as Christian is kind of slowly trying to work at her to get the truth is what's going on. So let's take a listen to another clip from Empty Land.
Do you always make your audience wait that long for an encore? Susan was so funny, she kept telling me how much you love to make them wait for it.
Yeah. Well, I personally think it's much funnier to do it that way. This one time, I sat down backstage and pulled out the deck of cards. Stagehands went nuts. When they ganged up on me, they lifted me into the air and carried me back on stage all the way to the piano, which of course got uproars of laughter from the audience. It's all a show, you understand. When people go to a show or to a movie, it's to escape the troubles of everyday life. With most classical musicians, you cannot break from the standards of performance, but I have broken all of that. I can put tinfoil on the strings, and I can bang on the keys, and I can make a real show of it all. And the audience is carried away to a different place for a moment. Where did you go tonight?
Somewhere that I would like to visit again. Where did you go in that moment?
Inside the lives of other people. I can feel them as their eyes fall upon me. I can sense if they're experiencing a moment of joy or pain. what their lives will eventually be. My life has been touched by the hand of music, and for that gift, I'm happy to give it back.
What is it like to be so famous? I mean, how do you deal with it all? You must not be able to go anywhere without the entire world noticing who you are.
Well, some people think that only a spoiled and ego-ridden star can stand where I stand, but in all actuality, it's the loneliest place that one could be.
Does that clip take you way back, man?
Way back. I remember that house up in the West Hills. It was a nice location. Very nice location.
Now, I know that time is linear and that people measure it in units, like maybe years, but I don't measure time that way. I measure it in that was 4 boyfriends ago, 3 hairstyles ago, a few different towns. I have a different linear measurement.
And it's 2 Rachels and a Brad Pitt. Yeah, that's okay.
But that's just a very sweet scene. But I'm trying not to spoil it. But if people will just be so kind as to go on YouTube and watch the thing, this film is very freaking dark, man. I mean, it gets really emotional and really dark, and it pushes all the way to the end, and it is merciless, but it's kind of beautiful in its resolution. And to be honest with you, Jay, the thing has been viewed a couple 100,000 times. So really, that's my last question for you. How vindicating is that for you to know that our work, that the final scene that you're in, the big finale, which we don't want to spoil, has been seen hundreds of thousands of times? Does that surprise you that now, so many years later, it's finally out there?
Well, considering that I'm probably responsible for 99,999 of those views, actually, no.
Thanks.
The
check is in the mail.
Yeah. Thanks. Residuals, royalties, great, awesome. Keep them coming. But that actually does make me feel really good that not necessarily vindicated, but justified in all the effort that went into assembling the cast and writing it down and getting people together, meeting on the day, and getting people to try to understand this, crazy as all get out story, and get them on board. That was pretty cool. It was very cool.
Definitely. It was a time and a place, and we'll venture together again. We have a couple minutes left here. Are you still practicing filmmaking? Do you have any equipment? What is your current filmmaker life like? Has that part of your life ended, or are you still active?
Oh, I'm very much still active. In fact, as of last year, I purchased an iMac, and I have a 1 terabyte external drive. In addition to the one that's internal, I have a 4K HD video camera, which I've been experimenting with. It has a lot of onboard features, but, you can do pretty much anything with the computer now.
Oh, yeah.
And I have my keyboard, and I'm still writing music. Piece by piece, I have nothing really cemented, but now that the weather's getting nicer and getting out more, I'm exploring some new locations and finding cool spots to do some shooting, and so we're working on it.
Yeah. In Cascadia.
Absolutely, yeah.
For the folks that don't know, that's not just the not just the fault line. We're talking about a project here. But
yeah, absolutely. I'm playing this one very close to the vest.
But you've been telling me privately, though, if you don't get your project going by a certain time, once the damn earthquake goes off, all you really have to do is just turn on the camera and film. Right?
Yeah, it'll be a documentary.
Capture the action.
And everybody looks scared.
In a way, I
everybody
think that
looks dirty.
I'm hoping it happens.
I am too.
Well, so give us a little geological fact. How overdue is the big one?
Well, looking at the geological records of the sediment, we know that on average, Cascadia generally goes off with a regularity of about 200 to 275 years, and it has been 317 since the last one. So we're overdue.
Oh, Lordy. Well, I know what'll happen. No one will be ready. It's not going to be convenient. I will probably be at work. And yes, I'm one of those people that has to go across one of.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I'm one of the people that has to go across one of the Portland bridges that is predicted to fall. I think they're all predicted to fall, but knowing my luck, I'll be going across that damn Tillicum bridge on the train. Boy, that'll be a fun little Superman moment when that thing goes off the rail.
Actually, I think of all the bridges, Tillicum is the most likely to survive it because it's the most recent.
Oh, great. I've got all warm and fuzzy now. Well, I have 1 minute of airtime left, so Special Agent J, thank you for coming on the first episode of this show, going down memory lane, talking about Empty Land, and I hope that you have a generally pleasant day despite the rain that is expected today.
Oh, likewise, and I plan on staying inside for most of it, so I think I'll dodge the drops.
Okay, very good. Good to talk to you, man. Peace out, and good luck in all your endeavors.
Likewise, same to you, and thanks for having me.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Brandon Carmody Show. I hope you will tune in every weekday from 6 to 7 a.m. Pacific. Check out youtube.com/Brandon Carmody. And once again, have a good day.